Hello, friends. It's Darren Cooper from DarrenCooperMusic.com, and you are listening to The Silent Creative, a podcast geared to help you turn down the noise so you can find your voice and create your art. Let's go. Hello. Welcome to the Silent Creative Podcast. I am so glad that you are here, that you are on this journey with me, whether this is your first time or your fifth time. I am so glad. And I just want you to know that today is going to be a great day. No matter what you are facing, no matter what you have already faced, today is going to be a great day. So smile, enjoy, take that in, and allow that to be your mantra for the day. All right, with that said, this episode is going to be about being created in the image of God. And before I kind of unpack that a little bit and talk about some observations that I have, I want to point you to DarrenCooperMusic.com. I want to really encourage you to go get the interactive single, Finding Oasis, there on the website. You can get it at the tab that says Free Music, or there's a couple of large buttons that you can't miss that says Download Here. But that is an interactive single that gives you a track as well as a PDF that walks you through a process that I try to take each and every day to start my day off right, to start my week off right. And if I've had those moments that are overwhelming, to go back to it so that I can then press forward no matter what I'm facing. So go pick up Finding Oasis. And if you don't want the PDF at all, just hopefully it's a cool little track that you like. I dig it, but I might be a little biased. I don't know. So Finding Oasis at DarrenCooperMusic.com. Go check it out and let me know what you think. I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. So with that said, let's dive into this episode. I want to talk a little bit about, it was probably 2008 or 2009. I came across an album by an artist that I respected and really enjoy, whose name is Derek Webb. If you don't know any of his music, go check it out. He is on all of the platforms, so you can find his music. But normally, Derek Webb is a singer-songwriter, kind of acoustic. I don't want to pigeonhole him and say like a folk singer-songwriter, but that kind of vibe, right? They at least let you know what he does. But in 2009, I believe it was, he released an album that was a like electronic instrumental record, and it was all based on the Lord's Prayer. And I can remember listening to this album the first time, and I gotta say, it blew my mind. Not only because it was musically brilliant, but just because of the idea, right? The concept of an album that goes along with this prayer that's also instrumental. And it's like, what? That can be a thing? And as a guy who is trying to find his musical voice in some way, like, this was life transforming for me. Like, I was, oh man, I can't even like talk about it now because I was so blown away, and it changed kind of my idea of music and what I could create. It began to say, hey, Darren, like you could do that. Like your voice. Oh, okay. All right. Let's step into that. And so in 2010, I started this journey to create an album, kind of inspired by Derek a little bit, to create an album based on the creation story. It was kind of the same idea, maybe because his was biblical. I was like, well, I need to stay in the biblical range. I grew up in church, so that made sense. It was like, okay, let's do this based on the creation story. And that sent me on a little bit of a journey. If you've heard my story at all, you know that back in 2010 I started this record, and it took me just shy of a decade to finish this album. Really because of a lot of the things that we talk about on this podcast: fear, worry, anxiety. My voice was being silenced because of those things. And I realized maybe after this decade of trying out this album that fear really just had won for too long. But finally, I think it was 2017, the end of 2017, I officially launched The Beginning, my debut record based on the creation story. You can find that also on Apple Music, Spotify, and all the other platforms that are out there. Again, shameless plug. But it was a fun, creative process for me as I learned to speak this new language of instrumental music, and it was really exciting. So I hope that you go check it out just for that sheer experience of going on that journey with me, knowing that those songs took so long to come to life. And then I hope that you go and you can read the creation story and follow along with the tracks and kind of allow that story to come to life, not on a faith, this is the way that it is, you have to believe this way, but more as a celebration of life. The world that we live in is beautiful. It is amazing. And when you begin to look at the idea of how the birds in the sky came to life, right? The fish in the sea. Like when you begin to really think about those things, it can be so inspiring. You can stop and go, man, look at this world that we live in is so cool. And that's really what I wanted that album to be about. Maybe one day I'll do like a commentary on that whole album, maybe even on this podcast, to kind of walk you through why I made some of those choices musically to really help bring that story to life. But yeah, that was where I found myself. And in that process, I think I read the creation story 1,000 times. You know, it was like each day that would go by, I'd read it over and over and over again, trying to find something inside of it that I could bring to life. And even though I've read it 1,000 times, something happened just the other day that either somebody was talking about it or I was reading Genesis again, and something stood out to me that I had never seen before. And I wanted to bring this observation up as something to think on and to dwell on today. But in Genesis, in Genesis 1:26 and 27, it says, "Then God said, 'Let us make human beings in our image to be like us. They will reign over the fish in the sea, the birds in the sky, the livestock, all the wild animals on the earth, the small animals that scurry along the ground.' So God created human beings in his own image. In the image of God, he created them. Male and female, he created them." And that line about created in his own image. So God created human beings in his own image. Something when I read that took me back to the very first line of the Bible. It says, "In the beginning, God created." And it said that the earth was formless, there was nothing, and he took that nothing and he created something with it. He created the earth. He created us, and we are created in his image. And something just hit me that I want to, again, bring to life here, is that if we are created in his image, we are creative people. That we have the power, we have the ability to take nothing and create something with it. And man, that is a powerful idea. Powerful idea. And that's even powerful. I guess it's really powerful if you consider yourself a creative person, yes. But it's even powerful for those that don't consider yourselves creative, because now all of a sudden you can begin to look at the work of your hands, the things that you do, the ability to take nothing, and whatever your job is, whatever your passion is, that you can take nothing and form something with it. And when you do so, it's actually because you were created that way, because you're gifted and you're wired that way. And that is such a powerful thought. And that really challenged me, because I think for a long time, the fear of trying, the fear of, like, I guess for me, I waited on God to tell me when to go or what to do, or that's what it looked like to be a, quote, spiritual person, is that I actually lost myself. I lost who I was in waiting for him to tell me who I was, when really all along, I was created in his image, which means that I am a creative person. And so I have the power today to get up, to step into today, and to take nothing and to form something of it. To take no song idea, or to take, I guess, 8 notes on a scale and to create something from it, right? Like, you have the power to take an idea and to turn it into a business. Like, wow, that is extremely powerful. And that's an observation I wanted to point out today, because it was such a challenge to me as I read through this Genesis again, and seeing that God created us in his image, and that because of that, we are creative. And so let's take a few minutes today and just process that idea. And maybe that resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, but just begin to maybe open yourself up to say, God, show me. Show me what that looks like for me. How am I a creative person? How can I take nothing and create something from it? And that's why I always, in podcasts, and say it all the time, and you might be sick of me saying it, or it might be the first time you hear me saying this, but that you are an artist, and that your voice matters in this world, and that you are loved more than you can ever imagine. And I say that because you were created in the image of God, which means you are a creative person. And because of that, I strongly believe that your voice matters to this world. And for too long, fear, insecurities, worry, doubt have kept us on the sideline. I know it's kept me on the sideline for way too long, way too long. And we are created in his image, which means that we are creative people. So let's take a couple of minutes and process that as the music plays. Remember that you are creative. You are an artist, and your voice is needed. Let's think about that now. So good, so good. Well, I'm hoping that that is an encouragement to you today. I hope that you got to take a couple of minutes just to push pause, to turn down the noise. And that is the point and the purpose and the why behind this podcast, so that you can have some time to rest and to breathe and to know that it is okay to be human. It is okay to struggle. It is okay to be alive, and that you do have a voice in this world and that it is needed. And so I'll say it again, that you are an artist and your voice is needed in this world, and that you're loved more than you could ever imagine. So go make this week incredible. Step into it, because you were made in the image of God, which means you are a creative person. So go make it a great one.